Imagine bringing your loved one to a hospital to get taken care of, treated, and get better, only to find out that the nurse in charge of keeping your family safe and healthy is actually responsible for killing them. This is the true story of New Jersey's worst serial killer, Nurse Charles Edmund Cullen. Hey everyone, it's your girl Maddy from Top Rope Squishy, and welcome to episode 8 of my show Café con Leche, where I talk about anything I feel like talking about. This particular episode is revolving around New Jersey's worst serial killer, which is very scary because it turns out that he was a nurse and he was employed in a lot of different places because the hospitals didn't want to take responsibility for what he was doing. So instead of reporting him, they decided to instead take him and give him a resignation, let him quit, even giving him good recommendation letters. And he was able with that to move on to hospital. People, this is the true story of the serial killer who happened to be a nurse, Charles Cullen. This is him. A couple of facts about Charles Cullen. He might be responsible for over 150 deaths. Jesus. He was born in February 22, 1960. He murdered dozens. People believe maybe around 400 patients throughout New Jersey and Pennsylvania in his 16-year-old career. He was arrested in 2003 with the help of a friend, Amy Lauren, and he was serving 127 years in prison for crimes he committed between 1978 and 2003. He was charged with 13 counts of murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, and he was arrested on December 15th, 2003. He was born in West Orange, New Jersey, so that is where he pretty much stayed in New Jersey and committed most of his crimes, if not all of his crimes. He began killing in 1988 at a burn unit of St. Barnabas Medical Center in Pennsylvania, but he quit in 1992 when the hospital started noticing some contaminated IV bags. In 1992, he also started working at a Warren hospital. He quit there and went to work at Hunterton Medical Center in Flemington, New Jersey, where he killed about 5 people in a nine-month span. 9-month span. Although it's believed that he killed a lot more than that. During all of this, he was also in the middle of a divorce. He had 2 daughters. He has 2 daughters. He also worked in Morristown Hospital, in a Liberty Nursing and Rehab Center in Pennsylvania, Somerset Medical Center in Somerville, New Jersey, where he committed most of his murders. And this is where he met his friend, Amy Lauren, who eventually was the one who, ended up turning him in. There's a great Netflix series called The Good Nurse. It's a short series, docu-series kind of thing, but it's done by actors and it's based on this guy. They also have a documentary on Netflix about him as well. The name of the documentary on Netflix was called Capturing the Killer Nurse. So basically they did a series with actors called The Good Nurse, and then they also dropped the actual documentary called Capturing the Killer Nurse. This is a map of all of the places that this guy, this killer, this serial killer monster was allowed to work, he tried to make it seem like he just didn't want to see people suffering and that he wanted to end their suffering. However, he was randomly contaminating IV bags that he didn't know what patient it was going to. And, I think his drug of choice to poison people was digoxin. But he also injected, insulin. And, digoxin, I believe, is a heart medication. But he also injected insulin. So these people that were sometimes on their way out of the hospital because they had gotten better would end up dying. And this guy was just here killing people. And because the hospitals didn't want to admit that they, had hired a serial killer, they didn't want the lawsuits from the families and all that stuff. They thought, hey, we'll just quietly let him go. They all swept it under the rug. And here we are, all these years later, finding out that humanity sucks. So, yeah. If you didn't see the Netflix series, short series called The Good Nurse, these are the actors that played the characters. The actors that represented Charles Cullen and Amy Lauren on the Netflix short series called The Good Nurse was actress Jessica Chastain, who played Amy, and Eddie Redmayne, who played Charles Cullen. So I'm sorry, I don't know if I pronounced their names correctly, but I hope we did. But yeah, they played and they did a fabulous job with The Good Nurse. I mean, I don't know if they portrayed the actors, the actual people, properly, but I can tell you that either way, watching the series was pretty amazing. So yeah. A couple of more things that happened with him during his career. His divorce in the 90s was pretty bitter. He filed for bankruptcy in 1998. He was fired from several hospitals for his poor performance, but again, with good recommendations, which is really weird. He was fired after 16 days at the Sacred Heart Hospital for not getting along with the staff. That's what was in the records. And he was hospitalized at least 3 times for depression and suicide attempts prior to his arrest. So, how do you stop something like this from happening? This is not, he might have been the worst serial killer in New Jersey who turned out to be a nurse, but he's not the only serial killer nurse out there. No. So, say hello to Lucy Letby. She worked at the neonatal ward at the Countess of Chester Hospital in London, and she is accused of murdering 7 babies and trying to kill 10 others between 2015 and 2016. And within a year's time, she tried to kill 17 babies. She's 32 years old and she denies all 22 charges. But yeah, she's accused of injecting air into the baby's bloodstream and killing them this way. But she denies all charges. And here's another guy. Say hello to Orville Lynn Majors, who is also referred to as the Angel of Death. He murdered 6 patients, was convicted to 360 years in prison in 1999. And his crimes were committed at Vermilion County Hospital in Indiana. This hospital ended up changing its name to Union Hospital Clinton to disassociate themselves from this killer nurse situation. So as you can see, unfortunately, it's not a one-time situation. This is scary because it's one thing if you have a killer running loose in the street. You can lock your doors, you can lock your windows, you can protect yourself somehow. You are on alert. But when you go into a hospital You're literally putting your life in someone else's hands. And if you're putting your life in someone's hands that is a Charles Cullen or a Lucy Letby or an Orville and Majors, it is possible that you or your loved ones might not see the way out. Like, you are definitely never going to see the light of day again. You are going to die here. You came in with a pain in your leg and you died from a heart attack. You know what I mean? Like, what? So yes, so I'm happy to say that he is no longer around. And I don't care if that offends people, because, you know, when you're a person that just walks around causing grief and tragedy, you know, I think you're a waste of human space, and it just sucks that people like this exist. But I'm happy to say that he died in prison in September 24 of 2017 at the age of 56 years old. So yeah, I'll leave you with that to sleep with. It's just so crazy that this guy got away with so much. Here is some more information regarding him while he was working. The hospitals consistently hid all the evidence, all info, gave him good recommendations, helped him get a nursing job, and he was able to continue killing. Instead of, you know, them actually just saying, hey, we have a problem. In December 12 of 2003 was he was arrested finally after another 2-month-long investigation. And I say another because all the investigations that had taken place prior to the one where he was actually finally arrested and charged were all dropped somehow. Like, it didn't matter who brought up the information, who said, hey, this guy is a killer. They all dropped the cases. This was the only one that stuck, and it was because his own friend Amy Lauren helped to get him convicted. That's Amy Lauren on the left with the actress who played her, Jessica Chastain. The actual people involved, you know, she was, and another nurse, they got to meet the actor, so that's pretty cool. In April to July of 2004, Cullen actually ended up confessing to a total of 29 murders and 6 attempted murders, although, like I said before, the actual number is said to be over 400. He avoided the death penalty through a plea bargain, and he was serving consecutive life sentences in Trenton, New Jersey. But like I noted earlier, he is thankfully no longer with us. So that is really scary. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story of Edward Cullen. Do yourselves a very big favor and go check out the Netflix documentary on him and The Good Nurse short series. It was really good, and it's also really creepy. It might make you think twice about going to a hospital, but I would just say be super cautious. Like, if someone comes in and they have a syringe in their hand, you ask them what that is. What's that for? And why are you giving this to me? You know, and it might not stop them from doing it because they can lie and whatever, but it's unfortunate that you have to think this way. And the craziest thing is that hospital, one of the hospitals that he has been at and killed quite a few people, I actually go to that hospital. Yep, I am New Jersey, so this is very scary. Thankfully, that stuff happened way before I even came to this area. But yes, that's the story of Edward Cullen, and I hope you enjoyed this story. Don't forget, when you watch Café con Leche, make sure you have your Café con Leche. And for those who don't know what that is, it's coffee and milk. I'm Dominican, so I grew up drinking this stuff. But anyhow, please don't forget to subscribe, Café con Leche drops every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. There was a little delay, a little, Thanksgiving kind of threw me over. I'm human, y'all. I'm human. And don't forget that if you like wrestling, I also cover wrestling on Thursdays live with guest podcasters. So that is another thing that I love to do. There will be another episode of Café con Leche dropping on Saturday, so make sure you tune in. And again, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, people. Let me know if there's any topics you'd like me to cover. But yeah, until next time, I hope you enjoyed. And yeah, until next time, people. Bye.